This is the Ferrari 296 GT3 for 2022. And this is the presentation car. If you're unfamiliar with sports car racing or just professional racing in general, when there are new race cars introduced for a particular racing series, they do the introduction through what is called the presentation car. And so it's like, basically it is the actual race car, but this is the very first model of it. So, and it would not have any sponsorship on it because, again, this is for customers to basically purchase, or it's for a specific racing team. So that's what you see here. So this is, again, the 296 GT3. It is available to run in many of the racing venues that would include IMSA, the WEC, World Challenge. You get it. So yeah, that's what this is. And GT3 cars are pretty much universal when it comes to many of those series. So there's really no changes between one series or another. Familiar with the German racing series, the DTM, for example, they now, for the last probably 3 years, have been running GT3 cars as well as in their series. But yes, so that's what this is. And this red color, I believe it's called ROSSO CORSA, is stunning. It's a very common color that's used for the Ferraris. And the production 296 comes in this color as well, if you didn't know already. This model comes on a fabric base, or a faux suede base, as it said, or you can call it Alcantara. Let's call it Alcantara. And it has this beautiful red stitching that goes across. You have the Ferrari symbol there with the prancing horse, of course. You have this nicely etched metal piece, this aluminum 296 GT3. And of course you have the BBR on the other side. This is a limited edition model, and it's limited edition of 101 of 449. So there's 449 of these models made. The lines on this model, the shape of it is perfect. It is basically the exact shape of the real car. And this is a sealed resin model, so none of the parts open. That would include the doors, as well as the engine. You won't be able to see any of that detail. But I give this a pass because there's so much detail outside of that. I mean, a ton of it. And so, just taking a closer look at the front end of this model, you have this very stunning, beautiful perforated grille. All the light detail is excellent. You couldn't ask for better light detail. I mean, just the lens that's over the front lights here, it's nice and clear. You can clearly see the lights underneath the LEDs behind that glass, so it is beautiful. Moving on to the back of the model, you have this very nice perforated grille, and behind it there is some detail. I'm not sure that's completely everything you would actually see on the real car, but I'm just glad it does have the perforated grille. You have this massive carbon fiber diffuser, and man, does it look the part. Moving over to the wheel detail, the wheels are nicely executed. You have this bright and beautiful disc in the front. It is a Brembo spec. You have the scripting on the tires as usual. And of course there is the necessary valve stem. So you have that there as well. That goes for the back. The back is a larger wheel, as it should be. It's nice and thick. And yeah, I would say that's a perfect model wheel. Throughout this model, what you're going to see when we get closer to it and we take a closer look, there's tons of carbon fiber, and it would not be glossy carbon fiber. It would be more of a dry carbon fiber, which is typical of a race car. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. because this is a sealed model, you can't see too much of the interior, but what you can see are plenty of colors of the dials, and they are pretty concise. You can see the prancing horse there on the steering wheel. You have this Alcantara seat, which is actually a very nice piece. You do have stitched seat belts there. And carbon fiber throughout the dashboard. And man, does it look like the real deal. It looks like real dry carbon fiber. So a closer look at that steering wheel and the dashboard again. Look at all those details. It's just so beautiful. Man, it's unfortunate you cannot open this up. Wow. You can see the pedals on the floor if you look close enough. Just looking above, you do have again this beautiful dry carbon fiber. There is a little video screen or rear view screen because there's no rear view mirror anymore. And you do have that dashboard. I can't emphasize this enough. I always mention it, and how you have this very bright dashboard, and it's because the decal reflects off of the light and it looks like it's glowing. I mean, that's just a very, very beautiful feature, and I really like that we have that available on models. Looking through the passenger side of the car, you can see the safety net, and it's hooked on. You do have all of the roll bars, or scaffolding as some people may call it. You have all the safety equipment there on the floor. In the back of the model, just another closer look at that perforated grille. You can see that detail behind it. The taillights are very nicely done. And then even below, you can see that there is another perforated grille back there as well. These are just fine details. You have the massive diffuser, which again is carbon fiber. The wing. The other thing I wanted to point out is these attachments, and they're throughout the model. These here are metallic or metal, and again, they're throughout the model. You see them everywhere. And they reflect on the light very well because, again, they're metallic. There is no engine detail to see here because it is all covered, unfortunately. But that is how the real car is. Just like the real car, you do have the 296 etched into the rear window. It's a nice touch. You have these nice perforated vents in the back. There's just carbon fiber throughout this model. There's a car. I really do like the contrast of the vent and the carbon fiber. And these are true vents. If you take a look down here, this part here you could barely see it because it's covered up by this piece here, and yet they still included, because they wanted to make it as close as possible to the real thing, they included the carbon fiber trim there. They didn't have to do that, but they did. More of those attachments, or bolts, or whatever you want to call them, or rivets, all throughout. There you are, the Ferrari 296 GT3 by BBR Models. And now to my conclusions.
Alright, in Den's absence, I've decided to give a conclusion on this model, which again we have the 296 GT3. So overall, first I'll give some positives on this model. So I really want to draw attention to the interior. I really like the attention to detail that they gave. So for example, if you look around the steering wheel, you can see the display. And I really like that they use the reflective materials that allow you to see the display. It looks, again, almost like it's glowing. Another thing that I really like about the interior is the details on the seats. So if you look at the seats, it really does look like fabric. And I also really like the attention to detail on the seat belts. Another thing that I like is if you go out of the car a little bit, you can see the windows, which I think are very nice. You can also see on the lights, they're the LEDs inside the lights, which, you know, they actually look real. They look like real LEDs, which I really do like that. In terms of some negatives, I really don't like how the gap in between the door and the rest of the vehicle looks. If you look really closely, you can kind of tell that they use the same color paint in between that gap, and if they'd only darkened it up a little bit, I think it would have looked much nicer. Another thing that I didn't like so much was the detailing on the brake rotors. I think that in particular, the grooves on the rotors could have looked a little deeper, and they just look a little plasticky to me. But overall, I would give this model a 3. It is a limited model, so it might go up in value a little bit from that. And it's also a presentation car, so that also gives a little value. But it is a little expensive, so it might not go up in value as much as you might want it to. But overall, it's a very nice model, and I really do like it.
What are you doing?
I'm finishing your video for you.
Did you finish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Please like and subscribe. That is the best way that we're gonna know that you're enjoying these videos. I appreciate your time.
And we'll see you next time.